Hi. So, transitioning with respect to our careers can be voluntary or it can be imposed on us. The news media was full of um, excitement as a CEO and his deputy, seemingly powerful, strong track record of a leading regional bank for more than a decade. They were quickly uprooted from their roles. So when we send out this live cast information, people might look at it and say, but now I'm in a stable job. I'm not looking to transition. This thought hasn't even come to me. But today, we want to explore this question. Is this what you really want to do? Is this what you really want to do with the majority of your waking hours? Because that's what it is. The job that we do takes up, well, at least 40 hours a week, and basically consumes the majority of our waking hours. So the question is this really what we want to do? Has that thought occurred to you? If not, I think you should spend a little time with us. We'll be here for 30 minutes or less. So let's look at this whole issue of how do we really want to spend our time. And I'm going to, as usual, provide you with some practical insights as to thoughts that you should be put in your consideration, and also some steps uh, that would help you to come out of your introspection uh, with some solutions. All right, so here goes. I'm Trevor E.S. Smith. I'm with the Success with People Academy, and I will be your guide in this live cast. All right, so why raise this issue about your jobs and whether you're aligned with it, etc.? Why have this consideration? Well, we know. I mean, I follow the Deloitte studies, and every year, for more than a decade, the data is around 60 odd percent, 66, 70% of individuals who are coming to work who are not engaged. Now, it might be a strange thing that in the sound of my voice, I'm only speaking to people, the one individual who is engaged in their job. So nobody that I'm talking to today, whenever you're listening to this, it falls into the two who are not engaged. I'm surprised. So, so job satisfaction is one factor impacting engagement. And that in turn is influenced by what we call role fit considerations. Am I an ideal fit for this particular role? So, for example, I'm extending this behavioral assessments when we're doing a role for recruitment. We have a template and we match the individual against those behavioral competencies to see is this individual ideally suited for this job? And if not, where are the gaps? How can we fix those gaps so that the person can perform more effectively? So the question that we have to ask here then is, are the assigned tasks, your current assigned task and responsibility, are they aligned with your skills, your interests, your preferences? If you were to create a job, an ideal job, would it be the one that you're in? Or put it this way, would the tasks and the responsibilities that you have be your part of your dream job? Some questions. And then what about the values and the organization culture? The team dynamics, because you have to work with people. You fitting in socially, is this where you want to be? So when those elements are aligned, wonderful, that becomes really an area in which you can be fulfilled, you could do wonderfully well in the job, and you can just continue along that career path. But if not, it might be time for you to think as to whether you want to move on. So I have 10 signs of misalignment where the fit is not so right. And I'm just going to run through them quickly. So one of them is passion. Yeah. So when you wake up in the morning, oh, is it, yeah, I'm excited, I'm going to work again, yeah, yeah, yeah. Or is it, oh my gosh, no, yeah. So are you excited? Are you motivated? Or, are you finding, oh my gosh, no, even a simple task that, it's going to take you 10 minutes, you're saying, oh, no. So that's a question. What about the stress? So you might actually be engaged, but engagement level is such that you really are under pressure all the time. You just, the KPIs are there, the targets to be met, you just are on edge all the time. Yeah, I did some work with an organization where everybody was on edge. Everybody was on edge. It was a toxic culture. What about boredom and repetition? Okay, I'm doing the same thing over and over. It's not getting me anywhere. I'm not really there. There can be conflict with your values as well. And this doesn't have to be that the people are, bank robbers or so on. It can just be how they treat employees, how they treat people who, their customers. Yes. So those are things that we have to look at to see what is it. Are they stringing out their receivables so that they don't pay on time? Those are questions that you might want to say, maybe not. I'll give you an insight. Okay, so this is a long time ago. I did media advertising, tracking, to see advertising spend with organizations. So I went to an organization, pristine. I mean, this organization identified themselves as being the guardians of ethics. So I had my report, actual live report, that I was there with the manager, the CEO, and the marketing manager. And I gave the document to show, here is a current monthly report to show you the different spend in the financial sector. And the CEO took this document and he poured over it and he poured. And I could see his marketing manager squirming, and of course, I didn't buy it because he got the information he wanted. And so I personally have never respected that individual anymore. Until he was at school ahead of me and I thought, yeah, but no. So that's what I'm talking about. It's that kind of situation. If you are in those kinds of uncomfortable situations, is it time for you to move on, or are you going to stay there and suffer the discomfort? Then there's the situation where you look at it and all the possibilities, maybe it's a small entity, maybe it's a family business, and there's just no room for growth, the people that are ahead of you are young and have more degrees than you. So maybe that's another area. What about the facilitation of your development now? Is there training available? Are you being coached, and do you have the opportunity to learn new skills, or are you just stagnant? It's another area that you have to look at to see whether you are out of place. What about the relationships? We come back down to this. Suppose the dialogue, the things that the people talk about are just so far from you. The language that they use, it's just not part of who you are, and you just can't connect. Or maybe they don't understand behavioral styles, and so the way that they're giving you information or feedback or giving you instructions, it's just not the way that you want it, and they're not hearing you in the way that you want to be heard. Maybe it's again time for, you have done all the flexing that you can do, but it's just not happening. And then you find procrastination. Every little thing that you have to do, you kind of put it off. And it's either because it's not engaging, or it could genuinely be that it requires some skill sets that you really don't have. But guess what? You don't really feel that these skills are important for you to go and try and develop them. So you're not willing to stretch. But every time, oh my gosh, I don't remember how to do this. I don't know how. And you have to go through those struggles. Maybe it's time to look at moving elsewhere. What about your health? That, yeah, you are under this constant stress and, tossing and turning at night, and you don't quite understand it, but you're just not comfortable. Yeah. And then this is really a major indicator. It's the daydreaming. You're there, your computer, thinking about someone a career. Oh my gosh, I'd like to be on the high seas. And here I am, struggling in this environment. So maybe that again is another indicator. But let's move on. All right. So, and by the way, please go back and look at these telltale signs. If even one lands, it may be time to take another look. So, why? Because being in an environment in which you're not a good fit could have significant implications. One of them, by the way, is that you just don't perform to the level that you want. And so it could actually end up then that you're going to miss promotions. And your career then might take a fork in the road. Instead of being excited and being the best that you can be, you might find that you are actually not performing at all near the levels that you would want. And then there's a burnout. The struggle. That is part of where the high stress, constant struggling to meet targets, etc., could get to a place where after a while you just can't. You just hit a wall. And so you have to be careful as well that you do not find yourself consistently in that kind of environment. And we talked about the job satisfaction. The key, though, is that if you are in a job and you're not satisfied, you're not feeling empowered, you're not feeling fulfilled, it could spill over into other aspects of your life. So maybe you go home and you're a little not as nice with your family and your friends. Maybe you start to escape and do things that you would normally do that's not that productive. So you have to watch then that you do not have this constant cloud over you that start to impact the other parts of your life. And this one is close to me. A colleague who actually was in a job, they complained every day, oh my gosh, I don't like this, etc. And it got to the place where he got fired eventually because his performance went down. And so that's something that you don't want. You don't want to have that in your track record where you are fired and then it might impact your career. You want to get recommendations, etc. So those are thoughts, right? So you do not want to continue in a situation where there's misalignment, where you need to move on, where the signs are clear that this is not the place for you. Right. So that, by the way, is again a need, I would say, for self-examination. And self-examination is good with thought. We have people walking around and not aware that they have hypertension until they get a stroke. Cholesterol levels could be there. So you can't go off feelings. And that's why I'm suggesting that you do a behavioral assessment. Yes, it sounds commercial, but that's not my thing. Anybody who has been into our life course realize that we provide solid value. But of course, it doesn't make sense to provide in solid value and you have a solution that makes sense. So I'm just suggesting to you, I see the value. I work with individuals that when we go through their analysis, they're seeing things that, oh, okay, I did not understand this. So it's moving, looking at removing blind spots, we're looking at how to deal with limiting factors. But in this case also, really, what is a deeper understanding of who I am and what are my real interests? This comes out in your analysis, and you can actually see what roles are a good fit for you and what roles are not. And so that's what I would suggest that you look at getting a behavioral assessment. Of course, we would suggest extending this capacity, but if you don't want to, you can look at another assessment. But the key is to get some kind of a behavioral compass that would help you to navigate through life. This is an important consideration. All right, here's a case study. So this is some time ago. We were invited to um, do an assessment for the entire, all the bank managers throughout the network of a financial institution. Why? For years, the government had imposed serious credit restrictions. So the banks really couldn't lend any money, hardly. Yeah. So bank managers' their role really was to make sure that they collect whatever loans were out there. Right? So don't have any bad debt. Suddenly, the situation changed, and now they could lend. And of course, everybody, all the all the financial institutions want to get market share. So, high competition, all sorts of things. So managers who would just sit at the desk and, collect would now have to, get up out of their air-conditioned office and go on farms and probably step in things that they would want to step into. But that's it. That's what the reality. You had to go out and get business. And so when we were doing the assessment, we found that some of them just, as a matter of fact, some of them actually resigned because when they saw that reality, that the skills that made them successful before were actually hindering them. No. So that's one of the things that comes from an understanding of yourself, where, yes, of course, we can flex. Of course, we can override our comforts and in order to achieve our goals. But is that the ideal situation? Here, for example, I have put up a map where that right side where you see the white areas, those are the areas related to change, initiating change, making quick decisions, influencing others. This is where disruption takes place. And that map, that kind of map, this is an example of many of the maps that I'm seeing in terms of teams now. Because what happened is that these managers, that level were recruited to in a status quo situation where you could predict what was happening. So basically, they got there and maintained their role because of their capacity to keep the ship on a steady keel, right? Now, disruption is a desired trait. They just can't find the people. They just can't find the people. Those persons were either fired because they're too disruptive then, or they went on to find new challenges. That's a problem that we're having now. But anyway, that's another matter. But it's interesting to see individuals now who are very, if you want to call it here in this map, very left-sided, very structured system, accountability, and traditions, making sure that things happen the same way, and are really at sea when it comes to change, disruptive environments, quick decision-making environment, thinking out of the box environments. Those are some of the things. Connecting with people on a different kind of level. That's the challenge that we have now, is to find leaders who are aligned to the new reality. By the way, if you have been discarded and put aside because you have that in you, this is your moment in time. So let's move forward with some concrete suggestions. If your current role is what we have been talking about, when you listen to what I've been saying, you can see that the level of alignment is not where I want it to be. So it's clear that I should be considering transitioning when I look at some things that are steps, concrete steps as usual, as to where you want to go. So I would suggest you do the self-assessment, and that self-assessment, again, should have some behavioral DNA assessments. And we could also look at career inventory. We actually have a career guide, by the way. So that's it. And then on the basis of that, kind of decide what it is that you want to do, what is aligned with your values and your goals and your interests. Right? And then having done that, you want to start to do some real work now. Are you in need then of additional education? Should you learn something, some other skills in order to fit in with the career path that you have decided to go on? Networking, please do some work. As a matter of fact, if you're on LinkedIn here, it's easy. You can just join groups that are aligned to your new ideas. All right. So Sharon says she okay. I hope your managers are not looking at Sharon. So, right. So get into the networking thing. And then also, seriously, and this is where again I would suggest that you do the behavioral assessment. One of them is that you need to look at the skills that you have. You know, do the inventory, look at what it is that you have, and to see which set of skills can be migrated to where you want to, you know, which skills can be transferred. So that's another area to look at. That's why some kind of an objective diagnostics makes sense. All right. Then, you know, this is part of, I suppose, job hunting 101. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but make sure that you tailor your resume and to the audience, you know, apply to the job. You don't just use a one style fits all thing that you just send around. All right. This one is important. This idea of trying to talk to people. Here again, I just think that LinkedIn is useful. Just ask the person, can we connect? Or you can follow them. Yeah. But many persons, I suppose, yeah, will, if you come across credibly, they will talk to you. Yeah. So you could actually follow and actually find out from them. Let me learn some more about the thing. But if you actually go into a group that's aligned to where you want to go, the dialogue in the group should help you. Right? And then, of course, if you're willing, you can actually intern or volunteer. So even if you're in a job and you would like to be in another department, you could actually ask for some cross training or even volunteer with the head of the department that you're interested in to do some things after work or in your spare time. So those are some of the things that you can do in order to develop some skills. The other thing though is to remember that this is not so easy. Significant changes in your career could take time and it could be frustrating. So you need to be resilient. Also, you might need to have some resources because there could be a downtime. Have a close someone close to us that actually took a sabbatical for 6 months. So yeah, you have to be ready in order to make that transition to another newer, better life, right? Of this one, headhunter is very useful. It depends on the level of where you are. But if you got a headhunter who is confidential to say, hey, I'm in the market. So you're not busy writing resumes every day and so on. But this individual is looking out for you and could say, well, okay, fine. Here's an opportunity that we think is a good fit for you. That's a good way of going about it. It's not time consuming, etc. Right? And then, of course, you're going to keep up to date so that if you have an opportunity to get an interview or so on, or if you go to a workshop or conferences, you can actually then be able to engage individuals in a positive way. All right. So basically, what we've been talking about, and maybe somebody come a little late, so let me just run through the 10 signs quickly. Right? So passion, really feel like you really want to do this stuff. The stress. So yeah, you might be engaged, but the level of engagement might be just too much. Of course, you're bored. You just feel, oh my gosh, not this again. Values. These are important. That you can't identify with the values that are going there, and this really is tearing at your moral fiber. That's not it. And then, of course, no chance. I'm going to be here. I can't see any possibility of significant advancement in my career. Learning. Yeah. Yes. there's a time now where organizations are expected to develop individuals, you know, have their capacity developed. So here it is, number 7. Just can't. People just, I don't understand these people. They don't understand me. We just have a problem. We just can't connect. I have flex. I've done everything, but what they talk about is not what I want to talk about. I just can't mesh with these people, right? So that's a big problem. Then procrastination. I really don't want to do this, or maybe this is a struggle that I can't really cope with, but I don't want to learn because investing in this skill is not really something that I want to do. And the health impact because of the toxicity, because of the stress, etc. It's impacting my health. Time to go. And of course, if you're daydreaming. So those are 10 signs. And believe you me, makes a difference because it could impact your health in another way, or it could impact your career in the sense that you might actually get fired. Who wants to do that? So look at the whole question then of how you want to develop yourself, whether you have skills already that can, be migrated to where you want to go. Make sure that you connect, join the groups, go to conferences. And there's a lot of free stuff like this. These live casts are there that can provide you with insights in the areas that you want to go. So sign up for some of them, sign up for newsletters so that you can get information that you want. Resilience, make sure that you are committed to the task. Make sure that you have some resources because it might be, a period where you are not earning or not earning at the same level. And yeah, headhunter for me is a good idea. And of course, you want to keep going at it. So those are thoughts that I wanted to share. Bottom line to me is that the engagement, the low employee engagement figure doesn't go away. And as I said, I'd be shocked if of the 2 of the 3 persons who are not engaged at work, none of those 2 are listening to me. So I suspect that somebody here is part of that too. And it's not just the one who are fully engaged. All right? I don't think you'll be here then. So yeah, the personal introspection is good, but I think you should do some behavioral assessment, get some diagnostics. All right, so don't be walking around with high blood pressure and don't know. And so you can get clarity as to the role. Right? Okay, that's a suggestion that I would do. What next? Usually we have a what next, which is I would suggest that again you review the transitioning tips. So even if you don't have an immediate plan, remember I said at the very outset that 2 highly respected managers at the top of a regional bank suddenly got moved off. Right? Track record, excellent profitability, all of those things, but they are no longer there. That's something that we have to look at. In which case, where do you land then? It's good every now and then to stop to think, what else could I be doing? Or what else would I want to be doing? And of course, if you want to, as I suggest, get this behavioral DNA assessment so that it helps your introspection, just send us an email at info@successfulpeople.org, or you can send me WhatsApp directly. It's 765356677. Yeah, that's it. By the way, these live casts are available on YouTube, youtube.com/extended disc solution, extended disc solutions. Yeah, you can see all of them there if you miss them. And who are we? We are the Success with People Academy, which is a division of the InfoServe Group, and we are SHRM recertification provider. What does that mean? It means that any training that we do, we can provide certification, professional development credits that can be applied to SHRM CP or SHRM SCP recertification. In plain English, it means that we operate at high levels of international standards, right, in terms of what it is that we do. And we deploy our discerning model of communication and leadership. And we actually provide these granular behavioral DNA assessment from Extended Disk on the Revolutionary Things platform. Give us a shout. No commitment. Send me a WhatsApp 876-535-6677, or you can send an email to info@successwithpeople.org. See you next week.